Good day, good sirs. Welcome to the first episode of the Forecast Podcast. I am your host, Alex, and with me today are my co hosts, Kevin,
What's up?
Nathan,
Oh,
and William.
Hi.
The Forecast Podcast was a result of bad decisions, rants, and general chaos that we decided to speak into a mic. Without further ado, let's get right into it.
By
Today-
the way, I do not condone that statement. I believe this is a great podcast, guys.
That was not a mutual understanding.
I
But
mean,
continue, Alex.
oh, okay, alcohol then?
We are an alcohol. We're an
We are.
alcohol-free
I'll drink
podcast.
to that.
Here we are.
Maybe when we get more audience besides just us four.
Yeah.
we can get
Well,
drinks.
all right. Well, today's topic is school, specifically, what our thoughts are on school.
Indeed.
I think school is amazing.
All right, next topic.
All right, next.
Why do you think that, William?
No, I mean, to be honest, it's all right. I mean, I think the greatest thing about school is not school itself, but the people you meet along the way. You know.
Well, would you consider that part of school? Because typically, you think of like education as like the actual like school part. I think you're referring to.
I
But
mean,
I think school generally, when you speak like say school, most people I think assume like school you mean like involving the people and teachers environment.
Well, yeah, you can't have school without like the social part of it, which is
That is
why
true.
that's why the coronavirus and our virtual school is a bit jarring for most of us.
Yeah, quite.
Um,
Anyone want to start with their experiences?
anyone have any funny stories from
How about,
their
how about Alex? How about you can go first? So you're the host. You can take the host privilege.
All
Just
right.
tell us about your own school stories, I guess.
All right. So there was one time I was profiled at school.
Oh, we're hopping right into it.
Yes, we are, Kevin. All right. So this was fifth grade. I went to the same school with Kevin and William. Suck it, Nathan.
Yeah, that's right.
But so I was unfortunately not in the same class with them, so they don't remember this experience. And I think I didn't tell anyone about it afterwards. But basically, it was a normal fifth grade afternoon. I believe I was doing some sort of like project, or we were in class, and suddenly this old lady from the attendance office calls me out onto the hallway. She's basically like, "Hey, you, get out here right now!" And of course, me being a very good student and upstanding member of society at the time, of course,
In like elementary school.
in elementary school, I was like, sure, what's up? And she pulls me out of class and in the hallway basically says to me, I know what you did yesterday. And of course, I am confused because as far as I'm concerned, I went home yesterday and I didn't do anything the entire day. So I asked her, what do you mean? What did I do yesterday? And she's like, you cursed at the crossing guard. And this was really like unexpected because at the time I was good friends with the crossing guard. Shout out to the crossing guard. I'm not gonna name her here just for privacy reasons, but she was very nice to me. And I'm like, what? No, I didn't. But she's like, yes, you did. And so she drags me over to the principal's office. And at this is the first time I've ever been in the principal's office, and it's you can feel the bureaucracy like oozing from the walls. It's so like for a fifth grader, it was quite scary, I guess.
Pretty traumatizing.
Quite traumatizing, yes. So I'm sitting there on this wooden chair, really scared. Like, are they gonna call the cops on me? Like, what the frick's going on? What did I do?
I'm not ready to go to prison yet.
And so the attendance lady, like with the confidence of an attendance lady, she just goes over to the principal's office, like which is connected to the attendance office, because not enough funding
Yeah,
in the public schools. So
it's like the same room.
yeah, it was basically they basically made the principal's office a closet, of the attendance office. But she goes over to the principal's office, knocks on his door, and says, "I have him here." I'm like, "Oh God, oh no!" I've never met the principal at this point except for during assemblies. So, um, this Steve Jobs looking dude comes out, and he looks at me. He's like, what's your name?" And I say, I'm Alex. I'm from Miss P's class. I don't know what I'm doing. What did I do?" And he's like, and he starts whispering to the attendance lady, and after like a really quick second of him just like saying something into your ear I couldn't quite hear, um, she kind of ushers me out of the attendance office, and she just kind of leaves me there. And I wait another like 2 or 3 minutes because I think they want to talk about something to like about me, not in front of me.
Right.
And I just wait. I wait in front of the attendance office for like 2 or 3 minutes, and then they don't call for me back. So I just leave, basically. I went the wrong way, so I went. I ended up in the I ended up in the second grade wing of the school, but I have to ask them back for directions. And so I go back to my class, and I forget about the incident until the next day, where basically my teacher told me that the reason I was pulled out of school was because the day before I was called into the principal's office, um, this kid, I think either a fourth grader or a fifth grader like me, this Asian kid, um, walked across the crossing. Like, so our school is basically an island surrounded by streets, right?
Mhm.
I think Kevin and William can attest to that.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So we have about 4 major crossing areas, and well, rather three, and one street where we don't have a designated crossing guard, but it's in the view of the other crossing guard, so it's a bit safe. And so basically, this kid wanted to go home fast, so he goes across the street without a crossing guard or like a stoplight or anything. And the crossing guard is like, "Hey, you stop! That's dangerous!" And he basically flipped her the bird while he
Like,
was
and
running
what
away.
grade was this?
This was fourth grader. This was a fifth or fourth grader. So,
Wow.
wow, kids really grew up fast back then, and
They
still
did.
do.
So, so you're saying that the attendance lady mistook you for another kid that looked
She,
just like you.
her reasoning was you two looked the same. Like,
Wow.
no evidence, just the fact that he was Asian and he looked like me was enough for her to pull me out of
To be
class.
convinced.
Yeah, to be convinced enough to pull me out of class and present me in front of the principal. Like, here he is, chop off his head and be done with him.
Ah, yes.
I never
like that
got a
I
formal
like that the
apology.
principal was just as confused as like you were.
Yeah, the principal was like, "What the hell is this kid doing here? This is the wrong guy. You got the wrong fool, man.
You got the
You got the wrong."
wrong
The wrong
fool.
number.
So
Yeah. I mean, like that kind of looks interesting story because like I don't think I've ever had like one of those situations where I've kind of like mistook for another student or like another like Asian kid. But like I've had plenty of experiences where like I like dodge. I was like that goody two shoes person who was like, no, we can't do this because when I was younger, I was that goody two shoes rule follower, make sure nothing goes wrong.
when you were younger,
Still is, I guess technically.
yeah, that's right. I mean, we all grew up in a mostly you know, I guess
Yeah.
ethnic town. So
Yeah, I was I grew up a very good Asian boy.
yeah, we were all surrounded by like it was a predominantly ethnic town. So it was kind of my first experience with being
Like the profile Asian.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Never got a formal apology from the secretary. So
oh, interesting.
yeah, fuck you, Miss B.
Yeah.
Uh,
The teacher or the
no,
secretary?
attendance.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
Miss B is gonna come in through your door any second now, Alex.
Ah, shit. I think she's dead.
What?
She was-
Wow, that
oh,
what a turn.
what a turn. Well, I guess you have the last laugh.
That was a bedtime story. I'm going to sleep now.
Oh my god. But yeah, she was fairly old. She was an old white woman, so
Oh, I think I remember. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't have many interactions with teachers because that was like my goal in elementary school, just to not be confrontational with anything. So like I'll be that one kid who like if someone's like don't snitch on me. If it came down to it, I'm a snitch. Like
Oh my
I was
God.
that kid. I was that kid.
Ah, that one.
Wow. I
Like
can't believe you.
like I never thought I never like because like when I was younger I was trained to be like I tell the truth tell the truth, like the whole thing like snitch like snitches get stitches, no, that didn't apply to me. Like if you told me something and like it would hurt me if I didn't tell, I'm gonna
Snitches
tell.
get snitches get rewarded because they are good boys.
Exactly. I was like I'll get rewards. I don't get in trouble. The person that gets that told me that gets even more trouble. It's a win-win for everyone except the person who did it. Yeah. I mean, I think one of my most interesting stories was actually like across many years in elementary school, where as Alex and William might know, our school had a, gifted and talented program
Yeah.
that spanned through the years of like second to like sixth grade. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it was that. And for a long and I think in second grade, like I was a stupid kid back in second grade. Like I think here's another funny story. A little tangent. Back in second grade, uh, being a Chinese American, like I grew up predominantly speaking Chinese, and in second grade my English was still pretty terrible. Like it was hard to tell whether I was like like born here or not. Like you could easily mistake for like someone just moved. And then I think because even though I was born in the United States, I think my teacher in second grade didn't know that. So I was like recommended for like ESL. Even though I was born in the US and I really didn't have any problem with my English, but I think it was just so bad. Like my reading level was so bad that they like had to recommend me to ES like English like second language class. So that was an interesting time. So clearly second grade wasn't my height of my academic career.
Ooh.
So and back to the gifted and talented program. You had to take a test I think in second grade to pass into the gifted talent program, and at that time I didn't pass, and I did pretty terrible in that test. So I would see all the people that I eventually became friends with, basically all in the program, except me, who would be who would sit in the class and see as these students be taken out of class to go to this special course, and me just sitting there in that class thinking, man, if only I was in that class, being cool and all. I thought it was the coolest thing back
Oh,
in elementary
by
school.
the way, this special location was
Back in the library, right?
yeah, it was literally just part of the library, but they blocked it off with a shelf.
To make it look cool.
Yeah.
Well, Nathan, did you guys have it in your school?
Yeah, we did.
Did you join?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, that makes me even more excluded.
Yeah, I didn't even know I was in it, to be honest.
Okay. I guess that's the Nathan's flex
Yeah,
for the
It just kind of yoinked me out of class, made me build something. And I was like, all right.
right.
The GNT program was not very good. I'm not
Yeah,
gonna
yeah. I feel like I guess we can move down to that topic, right? Like, is the GNT program a program that should exist?
No.
Because like it only lasts, at least for us in our town, it only lasted from like until sixth grade, and they would discontinue it by like middle school. And that really is not enough time for a program like this to exist,
The thing-
because it didn't continue, and a lot of kids get like the mentality of like the superiority complex over
Yeah.
everyone else, and they kind of like aren't. I guess the best way to put it. And middle school happens, and everyone's back on the same playing field. And because these kids haven't been taken out of class for the last 5 years, they don't have like the the mindset to work as hard. At least that's what it was for me. Because one of the main reasons why I started trying much harder, like middle school, was literally just fueled by this like almost jealousy or like desire to become part of like that like gift and talent group. So I bring this up earlier in the podcast because it really was just a large part of my elementary school experience, was just this most memorable moments of just me being jealous over the fact that people were being pulled out of class to go to the back of the library as like a special collection of students, like the teachers' favorites.
It's I personally believe the GNT program is more detrimental to the students that are involved in it, because number one, you're being pulled out of class, like not even during lunch. You're being pulled out of like important classes. I remember like we were being taught something really important. I think it was like
Yeah, those are like proper classes, like
like
math, science, English, and social studies.
it was like was it improper fractions or something? And we just got pulled out of class, and the next day we were supposed to like I think take a test or something. We were all so lost. I mean, thankfully the teacher was understanding, but still. I mean, you're being pulled out of class to go build like a stick tower out of marshmallows.
Hmm.
There's not much you can do intellectually with a bunch of elementary schoolers.
No, I just
And
assumed everyone who got pulled out of class was like genius. They knew everything.
and
I was
there's
not
that
a
part too.
genius.
Like that the power you feel when you say, "Oh, I need so and so for gifted and talented." Like, all
Yeah,
about there's a that like I have lots of friends who are like, what's the like failed intellectuals, I guess.
damn,
Where
that's
like,
harsh, man.
I mean, I'm one too, like obviously, but it's just like where it's their feeling of being told they're special kind of
Oh.
like stop them from properly developing
Yeah,
studying habits. So a lot of them aren't very good studiers because they just assume it. The GNT basically instilled the idea that if it
they will
doesn't
like
come
forever be better than
naturally,
others.
that too. But if you're not naturally good at something, then you have to give up on it.
Yeah, I know what you mean, Alex.
Yeah,
Um, I heard something about that too, where like if kids are told that they're smart, they're not gonna work as hard as like the normal kids, right? And so when these kids grow up, they're gonna be like, "Oh, dude, I'm like so much smarter than everyone else, so I don't have to work as hard to get to the level that everyone else is at." And actually, I feel
exactly.
like that happened to me where I was always told, not just at GNT, but everyone was like, "Oh, dude, you're so smart. You have like such a big brain. Like, oh, you're so many brain cells in there. Oh man, you're gonna be like
Someone
this
tell you
guy's
that.
toast." No,
Someone tell you
Above
that.
average brain count.
no,
And
but
like I can imagine like fourth grade, some kid comes to William like, "Well, William, you have so many brain cells."
They open up his head with a microscope and like, yep, his
Can
brain
confirm.
cell count is
They
very
open up his head with the what?
the microscope.
Scissors, safety scissors. All right,
They,
I gotta go for a second.
but I mean, yeah, the GNT really did not help at all. I mean, it's
I mean,
yeah, it's pretty detrimental. So
Yeah, I'm back.
it was fun though, right? You got to meet people.
Yeah,
I mean,
honestly, I feel like the
yeah,
best part of GNT for everyone. This is from uh my perspective as a person who didn't go, but I feel like one of the good parts of GNT is that you get to meet other people that potentially have very similar like study mindsets as you do, assuming they don't get like the idea of like the I'm so better than everyone because even though I don't have to study, I'm like naturally better than everyone. So
Yeah.
but yeah. Do you all remember when I built that box for the middle school?
oh yeah.
Yeah,
That
that shit
was that
was
was a big project. Like
that shit was.
it filled up the whole media center
It did. It
at the
did.
back of it.
Yeah, it filled up the library basically.
I can't believe like you got permission to do that. To be fair, you were a pretty favorite student of the media center off worker.
Dude, Alex got to do everything in that
That's
media
true.
center.
Like Alex ran the media center as like
I
the
ate lunch in
code.
the media center.
Yeah,
I organized game nights in the media center. We watch movies. It was basically I don't know. It was a great time for me. Um,
I feel like my speaking of middle school, I feel like my like academic career like peaked in middle school. Well I wouldn't say peaked, but it definitely was like the beginning of my peak.
that's
Like in middle school was the first time I felt satisfied with the class I was taking and the grades I was getting and like I guess the work to grade ratio that I was putting in.
Hmm.
Because for the first time, like not gonna lie, like over the first year of seventh grade, uh, like I put in probably more effort into my work than I've ever done before. Because I remember when I was in sixth grade, I was getting like low, like high B's, uh, which is not good for your survival as an Asian child in a very
No rice
Chinese
for you.
family. Yeah. Uh, and like low A's, high B's, and so it was like, but even then, I wasn't like learning very much. Like I was still like kind of like just barely keeping up really with like the work. So it was over like sixth grade summer, that I really started putting like work into like the stuff I was doing, and I guess like because I could see like the results coming out from middle school. I felt like wow, this is something I can feel like I can get into, like it's like just like trying even harder and getting work done. It's funny that I mentioned that like middle school was like my height of my academic career, because it was not the height of my social career. Like I think it was like the balance that tipped towards academics than my social life. I think Nathan can account very well for this. Uh,
Hmm.
so yeah, it was middle school. I feel like it served its purpose for me, where it was more of a transitional period, which I feel like is what middle school should represent for most students, a transitional period between a very childlike elementary school experience to a more formal, like a more proper high school experience. Middle school was kind of like the middle balance for us, where the classes weren't that hard, but they were very more similar to high school curriculum than elementary school curriculum. You had a certain amount of classes per day, but it wasn't as much as high school, and there weren't as many, I guess, choices you could make. So it was more elementary school. It was just an interesting balance between the two, which I thought served the purpose for me pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, it's just training you for high school, basically.
Yeah, essentially.
But the thing about you in middle school, Kevin, that I'm
Oh no,
not sure if you're aware
I'm
about
gonna be exposed here.
is no, I mean, it's a good thing. It's the fact that you say your social went down, but like I think this is where the your legend really started.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
Let's say the legend of Kevin the Master,
yeah,
genius.
yeah.
You you were referred to as like the smartest kid in our grade, which is arguably true.
It
Arguably,
was. That's why I say it was like the height of my like academic like reputational career, I guess, because I think it really ended in like ninth grade. Like it peaked in ninth grade and it stopped. Well, at least it went down a little bit, which I'm glad, because I think yeah, because it was. I guess I'll go into the story as Nathan has heard many times from me. That like egotistic like ego built that I got from like just like that reputation, because as I said before, it was the first time really that I put like more and more work into things I did. I saw more results, and it was kind of like a feedback loop of me trying harder and harder, just like fueling that ego that I guess I kind of built for myself of I'm like doing the best in the grade. I have to, I have to like sit on top of the reputation. I have to keep over my reputation. So I guess it was that really like it caused my one my reputation to form what it was, and two, the whole spiel that happened to me in middle school of basically become very pretty self-centered and things. Hopefully, uh, I hope it's gone better. I feel that it's gone better, but that's not exactly
no,
something that
Kevin, it
for
hasn't.
me to confirm.
You're still very flawed,
Yeah.
Kevin. You suck
Yeah.
as a person.
Oh, that's great.
Kevin,
Good to
the
know.
Mad King of school.
Making silence
Um,
tells me everything I need to know. Uh,
what?
yeah. Anyways, but
Nathan's a bit more high
we
than
can save
violent.
those spicy stories for another episode.
But
Mm,
Kevin's experience does remind me how important friends are in school.
The power of friendship.
Yeah, like even if you're academically smart, you still need friends. Which, I mean, that's a pretty obvious statement, but you know,
yeah, everything needs to be perfectly balanced. As all
as all
things
things.
should be.
Uh,
No,
yeah, I
yeah.
mean, friends are important.
Yeah,
But
I think I think it was middle school that was like the beginning of like our friend groups, like friend groups
yeah,
starting to form. Like
Hmm.
you don't really see many friend groups in like elementary school. It was mostly like, oh, who you individually friends with. Um
Yeah, elementary school
that was mostly
was like
the thing.
ragtag, uh, like bits and pieces of the friend group that we have today. Like,
it started off with like friendships forming between people, like in one-on-one people, and then forming into smaller groups, and then eventually merging. So like
Yeah.
I was friends with William and Daniel most in elementary.
Yeah, Daniel's
Yeah,
another friend of ours.
and Minsun
Mm.
too.
Yeah.
And then you, Kevin, I think
Yeah,
you
yeah.
Daniel Tation were a group too.
Yeah,
And
And
then
also Nathan came.
and
yeah,
I think
and then
yeah.
middle
We
school.
picked up a wild
Although
Nathan.
I didn't really, what's the right word to say this? Approach Nathan until like middle school.
Well, that's because he only came middle school. You mean like high school?
Yeah, I'm in high school. Shit, my
Yeah,
bad.
okay.
Yeah, I'm like, wow, who is this? Who is this kid?
Yeah.
Who is this person? And turns out
Turns out it was
this dude named
a
Nathan.
fellow friend now.
Yeah, yeah. It's kind. It's how our friend group formed is quite interesting. It's like,
Had many iterations.
yeah.
Speaking of which, William and Nathan, do you guys want to share some of your pasts? I feel like Alex and I have kind of given our
What if I say
a
no?
bit of us.
If you say no,
You feel free to leave.
where to you?
End the podcast here. Oh wait, that's
All right, that's enough,
That's
guys.
it.
um. Let's see.
Yeah.
Oh, in middle school. Oh man, it's funny how Kevin, you saying how this is like when you're really picking it up academically. Like starting from elementary school, actually, I'd already picked up bad procrastination habits. Like I'd actually come to school in the car and I'd be working on like the 10 sentence, 10 vocab words assignment
Oh,
in the car. And and that didn't
you're one of those people.
yeah, I was one of those people. And I'd like do my homework during lunch or oh hey
More
class, I'm gonna
times.
pick up the notebooks now. I gotta finish writing up the last lesson. Yeah, that didn't stop in middle school. I still did that.
Still going.
You still do.
What do you mean? Doesn't yeah, it's still going.
The grind never stops.
To be fair, I feel like who doesn't do some assignments during lunch?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
that's true.
I mean, I'm actually very guilty of doing it a lot. Like my friends my friends on the table are trying to talk to me, but
Egg
I'm
you on.
one hand on chopsticks and the other hand on my pencil, trying to do both at the same time.
Getting those last things done in time. It's like period 5 lunch, period 6 like the homework you're doing.
Yeah, I have a test next period that I haven't studied for.
Yeah. It's like I'm just bust out my study material like the period before.
What the heck are fractions? No.
Alex, this is 9th grade.
Yeah, what the heck are fractions?
Guys, how
Yeah.
do I do adding and subtracting?
What the hell are numbers, bro?
Yeah.
Oh.
well,
Oh.
Okay, real quick, the Forecast podcast does not condone
yes.
that statement. We are upstanding citizens.
We'll bleep that out in post.
Yes. Yeah, we'll bleep it out so that they don't actually know what he said.
Exactly.
Oh,
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah.
All right. Anyways, moving on. Nathan, anything fun to share? Fun fact: Nathan didn't come into our friend group in middle school because he wasn't in
In
our
fact,
town.
Nathan didn't come.
Oh yeah. No, so I was in the same town as these guys. From
These
first to
losers.
third grade. I wasn't in the same school though.
Oh, yeah. Ah.
But after third grade, or like at the end of third grade, actually, we end up. My family moves to España, Spain,
Fun, yeah.
in Europe, and we stay here for 3 years. There are a bunch of stories on that side, but I won't go into it
Let's save that.
right now.
We'll save that for the Hispanic episode.
That-
Oh. We'll
And,
save that for the cross-cultural pollination episode.
Pollination.
Yeah, go
and
on.
at the end of the 3 years, I came back to the town, and
Oh yeah.
it was a difficult transition, honestly, because it's
Yeah.
both places are so very culturally different,
Mm-hmm.
and
But
I
we're
commend
Yeah.
you
better.
on your.
But
I
what?
think
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't know Nathan well enough in middle school.
Yeah.
I think.
Actually, quick info for our potential listeners out there. Our town is divided into 4 subsections, each with their own elementary school, and then these elementary schools all merge into a single middle
Middle
school,
school, yeah,
and
for
then a
seventh,
single
eighth
high school.
grade.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Well,
attended the
now,
air school.
well, now it's fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth grade because they built this big ass building.
Yeah, the intermediate school.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Nathan. Wait, did you guys have intermediary school where you went in Spain? Does that even exist?
No, I went to a British international school, so they just had primary and secondary.
Ooh, how's that work?
Secondary is supposed to be somewhat like high school, except
school,
that
right?
I was already uh 6th grade was the last time I was there, and they called it year 7, and that was the first year of secondary school. So I actually used
Mm.
lockers a year before you guys used them.
Wow.
Mm,
How
yeah, right, yeah.
sophisticated the British are.
Yeah, I remember you mentioning that, Nathan. That you mentioned
Yeah.
how like it was like really weird
I
compared
had
to
to
like
flex on everybody how fast I opened my and
the
closed my
locker.
locker.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure it was a pretty tough transition, especially 3 years as just as like a young adult coming back
Yeah.
after so many years and
More like old child.
old child. Yeah.
I mean, in
I hope.
hindsight, I liked it. So
I mean,
a good
I hope that
experience.
the experience was at least a memorable one.
Yeah.
Yeah. We can save your stories of Spain for a later date.
For the Spanish Inquisition episode.
Yo.
Okay.
No one ever
Uh,
expects the Spanish
No
Inquisition.
one ever expects Spanish Inquisition. All right. Well, I guess we can move on to our next topic, which would I guess I can mention would be what do you guys think of schooling as in general as a part of our lives?
Oh, our school system is very flawed.
Yes, that's good. That's
I
a good
hate
start.
to make to reveal such a hot take on our educational system,
Wow,
but
Kales, you hear that, Alex? Sounds like bridges being burned.
oh.
Anyways, continue.
I mean, if school taught me how to build bridges, that would not be a problem. But um, it's kind of outdated. I feel like the GNT program is a good way to express how the school doesn't really take advantage of, I guess, gifted children properly. They just put sticks in front of them and tell them how to build a tower. Um, there's a lot of undue stress caused by it. The No Child Left Behind policy, while made with good intentions, has also caused some you know
Hmm.
regressions in terms of it. You guys know the No Child Left Behind policy, right?
No, actually, I don't. Can you explain that?
Okay, so the No Child Left Behind policy is basically, I mean, as I said, it's a policy, but it's I think it was 2001. It was a U.S. Act of Congress, basically, and it was basically like it was kind of like a what's the word?
A
It
magical.
basically, no, I don't know about magical, but it kind of reworked the educational system so that um every child every child in the educational system
Wouldn't be left
um
behind.
would not be left behind. It's basically it was meant to close the student achievement gaps by providing everyone with a fair and equal opportunity to it's there's a lot of I mean, obviously it sounds great, who wants a child to be left behind, sorry Timmy.
Is like the idea that like because the system doesn't like individually appeal to different students, and that every single student's given like the exact same treatment. Do you think that that's what's holding us back?
I feel like it was supposed to be aimed towards equality, but it became more equity. Like,
So
just
it was.
because a child shouldn't be left behind doesn't mean that a child should be pulled back too. Like, it felt like it's the
So you feel
education
like
system.
it was more of like a reduction rather than a boost.
Yeah, basically. And it really has not helped the United States, um, like at all, basically.
Hmm.
I think we are currently like 38th in the world for math and like 24, I think, in science. So, I mean, for a global superpower, that's not very good.
Right, right. Well, I feel like even just apart from that, just school in general has just doesn't have what a school should have for something that plays this part of like this big of a part of our lives. It it fails like the primary purpose in lots of cases of what a school should represent for students as a place
Like,
to encourage development, creativity, learning in the subjects that they want. School becomes so bureaucratic in
yeah,
handing in homework, taking tests, study a test, and then repeat throughout the entire year. That students lose the sense of what they're in school for. They just know that they have to be in
it feels like
school.
a factory. Like the No Child Left Behind policy basically attempted to standardize schooling, which is the opposite of what schooling should be, since it's meant to be like growth.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean,
I feel like
wasn't
one big part. Oh, sorry, William. Want to go ahead?
wasn't school originally invented to make people to teach people how to go into factories? You know, like the school
Yeah,
bells
yeah,
and
Well,
like
it
yeah.
was. It was. But that's not really what it represents today. Although I guess that the same mindset's kind of there.
yeah.
Uh,
But I think well, what I was wanted to talk about before was the idea that schools are so focused on the fact that it's a school that they're making I guess like taking the experience of the experience of learning, the joy of discovering new things that children for the future that it's supposed to give, but it doesn't provide that. I guess a good example would be by the time most kids get to high school, a lot of them kind of lose the interest in the subjects they're learning because they're so bogged down by like whatever they're doing for teachers for work. And I think my main reason what I was trying to get to earlier was just the fact that teachers aren't paid enough
Yeah,
to to physically make a change on the students because they don't feel that they don't feel that they're paid enough
Mm.
to care. And I think that's one of the biggest things. It's such like a minor detail in the whole story of like what schools can do, but I feel like it makes all the difference because if only the teachers are satisfied with the position, would more people want to become teachers and more people want to pursue what do you want to go after, whether that be STEM courses, art courses, music courses, sports courses, whatever it may be. Teachers should be able to pursue that with their own passion, and only with that will students find the similar passion from the teachers in subject that they potentially might like. Like from personal experience, the classes that I've loved the most are the classes where the teacher is clearly like loves their own subject that they teach, and rather than just giving assignments for the sake of giving assignments. And because of that, I feel like the one of the most important moves that can be done right now in the country is more public funding for education for everyone, and only that way will we have at least some room to grow without it's continuing to just be stuck in what we are right now.
So what you're saying is that our teachers suck.
no.
No,
But,
Oh.
I mean, quick disclaimer: we are talking about America.
yeah,
In case
as a
we haven't
in
mentioned
general,
that.
yeah.
Uh, but no, teachers don't suck. It's just that they're not funded enough. Like, you know that joke like between like students that like whenever we had a pizza party, the slices would be like half a
Be
centimeter
tiny, yeah.
tiny. Most of the time, apparently, like that was the teacher paying it out of pocket, like not even funded by the school.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh
Like
really?
most of
Yeah,
the club parties we have are teachers out of pocket paying for the parties.
yeah.
Oh
And
wow.
I mean, our like humanities humanities programs back in elementary school, like did not have like rooms for them. We literally had our teachers like carrying around carts.
Yeah, I
And
remember that.
teachers bringing it. That was
I think the art office in elementary school was just a closet.
it was a closet. The band room in elementary room
Was just
was
the
the
hallway.
boiler. It was a boiler, Kevin.
Oh, yeah, it was.
That's the boiler hallway.
I mean, if that's not like physical proof of how screwed up like funding towards public schools is, I don't know what it
Yeah.
is. I mean,
And like and even considering the fact that our town wasn't like
we're
it
not
wasn't
poor.
you were not
We're
we
not
were it
poor
wasn't
at
a poor
all.
town by any measure. Like so I can only imagine like the conditions that a lot of other like towns have to like the children have to like go to school through. Like no wonder like the system
The system is so broken.
isn't working. The fact that the environment itself is in that condition. So I
By
I
the
really think that public funding for education should definitely be an increased awareness, like in society, just for people to notice, instead of whatever we're doing.
by the way, the No Child Left Behind policy was disbanded basically in 2015, but it
Was
was
it?
in effect for basically 14 years. So
Oh, dang.
that's like a huge amount of time for it to have done damage. I mean, the damage left by that policy and also like similar draconian policies. Well, I mean, not draconian, but draconian in practice has like deeply affected our already like flawed educational system.
Right.
And now we're too afraid to make any changes to it. So
Yeah, that's one of the main problems with bureaucracy, right? In general, just the fact that change is the whole point of bureaucracy. That change is very difficult.
change is yeah.
Yeah. Also, just to make a disclaimer, all the policies that we talk about are purely from our own perception.
Yeah.
We are by no means experts on these subjects. These are just our personal views on these matters.
I mean, Kevin, can
Yeah,
I ask you?
this is a podcast, not a public service announcement.
Yes. Yes, William?
I mean, you said like how, we need more public funding for schools. Let's say, right, instead of the experience that you had right now, or you had in your life, elementary school, middle school, high school, what if, like, we got like $1 million added, or maybe even $1 billion added to our school system? Would you say that that would actually make your childhood better? Would you be a better person today because of that? Would you be making like better friends? Or what do you
Well,
think?
that really depends, right? Like, what does the funding go into, right? If it goes directly into the teachers, then it's quite possible because if teachers were better funded, they would probably have less things to worry about. They would probably be more inclined to do the job, to look to follow what they believe in, or at least what they teach. And quite possibly that could have had a bigger impact on me. Like, let's say when I was younger, I was like I don't know, fourth grade. I had I don't know, maybe let's say I had a very enthusiastic teacher because of this pay rose, there's like pay that they got, who was very enthusiastic about like art, and that could have very well got me very into art, and I could be a completely different person today. I could have different friends who would follow different interests. I could be a different person. So it's really hard to say,
But
but overall, I'd say it is very likely that I could be a different student
but
and
Kevin,
person.
I'd just like to add on to that in that um I mean, first off, if we had more funding in school, we probably have better quality teachers, I guess. I mean, there are like don't get me wrong, there are a lot of great teachers who want to see their children, I mean not children, students learn and like grow as human beings, but there's also like a lot of teachers who see it as like a dead end job, like something they just do to make money. Like had that one teacher who was so unenthusiastic about their job. Like, all
Yeah,
right, class,
that you
I'm a
actually learn
substitute
less
teacher.
from
turn
that
to
class.
page 52 and read this chapter. I'm gonna go sit in my desk and think about my life.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. It's so enthusiastic. It sucks the like any type of fun or learning really from that class away.
Yeah.
it's like the things individual teachers and better standards for teachers could do to the general public is astonishing. But
I just
and
feel that as this huge part of our life, literally our whole childhood up to we're 18, the fact that such a big monumental part of our life is so
underfunded.
underfunded really is crazy to me. And the fact that I wouldn't say most education, I guess this kind of goes into more upper education. The fact that so much of our education is also privately funded from like charities or different groups really.
And most of the best colleges are all
Yeah,
private.
are all private schools.
Yeah.
Definitely does says a lot. Says a lot about the way we approach education in this country.
And William, you asked Kevin before, how would he be right now if our school had received like $1 million?
Yeah.
I mean, the fact of the matter is we did not receive $1 million.
So therefore,
We
we do not know.
received way less than that, and our perspective on the education system is, how we formed our opinions. And as we mentioned before, our town is not poor. Like by all means, we have access to like a lot of taxpayer dollars and a really large like revenue source from a like very well traveled like interstate. But for our town to still have such a underfunded school, like we can only like well we can't only like whenever we went on field trips to other schools, we saw how like degraded the building itself was.
Right. And
And
this is to say that not to say that our school was severely underfunded. It just I feel like this kind of includes all education across the country in general. Like the approach we have to it of not just of kind of just like mediocrity is like accepted, while probably the better way would be to encourage learning and growth in children would be to create environments. It's shocking how much a child's environment can spark like their own curiosity and like their creativity and all these traits that would I guess in other words make them a better person and when they're older. Like literally learning in a better environment makes so much difference in your life. So
we
that really is my conclusion.
we as students are expected to give the best results while receiving like some of the most lackluster funding.
Yes.
So I
That's a
mean, and
good analogy.
this is from a student perspective. Like, imagine what the teachers have to like go through, like like. I remember our high school used to have like woodworking and like our STEM, like non-traditional STEM like programs. We had quite a few of them, like, and they were all like defunded and forced out. So,
Right.
and now all we have is a football team that has not won in 15 years.
Really?
And yeah, our school, it sucks. I'm not gonna lie. Maybe they'll win in the future, but they're not doing too good. And our band. Those are the two most funded things.
Let's
I mean,
go,
good.
Our
marching
band's pretty okay
band.
though. Our
Our band's
marching
pretty
band's
fire.
pretty well
Our
known.
band's pretty fire, but
But that's
still.
probably why that's the reason why it's fired because like half our revenue goes into that thing.
Or
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, yeah, if it wasn't fire, it wouldn't be funded.
Yeah.
But I mean, just the lack of funding to other clubs or programs.
Groups.
Yeah.
Also, William, you wanted to say something before? Sorry, I cut you off a little bit.
Oh, nah. I forgot.
He
I mean,
he
I could talk.
quenched. Yeah, go
Uh,
ahead.
Nah. You guys, what about,
What about
like,
Nathan? Actually, Nathan, you've been
Yeah.
pretty silent the entire time. You want to give your opinion on the general status of schools in our country?
Um,
I know that you've always been a pretty big proponent of change and what school represents.
Are we progressives?
yeah, no, I mean, for me myself, I don't really. I look at it from like a very like we exist in an age of a lot of technology, and anything you want to actually learn, you can learn online. And getting an education at school is becoming less and less important, really. And that might just be because public school is just not good.
Hmm.
But
Do you agree? Do you agree with the sentiment that like schools should be like made to improve and I guess foster an environment for children to want to learn their own? Because I feel like I really agree with what you're saying. Like as we become more technology advanced, you can really learn everything you learn in school by yourself online,
and to a better degree.
and to probably to a better degree. And I think that even more so plays into the idea of schools at least creating the environment for you wanting to learn, for you wanting to like find out your interests and then work onto those interests on your own time. Would you say that's like a point you agree with?
Yeah.
It's fair, it's fair. William, anything want to add?
Oh, dude, that was
Nothing?
um.
In
Yeah.
Hmm?
I think. I mean, I personally think that no matter what kind of funding you put into a school, the the amount of funding that you put isn't necessarily gonna make, like, it might make the school education system better, but is it gonna make you better as a person? Like, you know how
you would have the resources to be better.
yeah, but there's more than that, right? Cuz you know how like, let's say, this is just like a random example, right? Let's say like there's a long line of generation, right? Where this one dude, he gets like the worst childhood, right? You'd assume that when he grows up and he becomes a parent and he has his own children, he's gonna try and avoid that, bad childhood that he experienced as much as possible, right? So what if you apply that same logic to school system and say, well, if you had a really trash um, elementary school system, what if you learned from that experience and you learn to, like, I don't know, have like teach your children better stuff or morals or whatever, or subjects, stuff like that.
Wait, can you go over how the generation exam analogy applies to school again?
Um, I mean,
Wait,
I like the way I see it. Let's say you put in $1 million into our school system right now, right?
I feel like we've
Right.
used this analogy before.
yes.
Right? And then like the teachers are like super good, like they know exactly what they're talking about. They're so motivated. They get paid such a high salary. And then we get presented with that. Like, bam, this is like the curriculum, like 90 pages. We're going to read 5 textbooks and do all this good stuff, and we're going to learn so much. Think about
Whether
how much of a challenge that'll be for elementary schoolers to
I'm not
knowing that.
saying
yeah,
we're not saying to like
you're
10 times like the amount you have to do for homework and stuff. We're literally just saying to improve the quality of life for the teachers and the environment in the school to fuel this idea of growth, like to basically encourage students. Because do you really feel that teachers in elementary school are encouraging you that much that as they should be? Not really.
No.
It's kind of just a get by as you can kind of system.
William,
I
you're
don't-
equating funding for like you're equating the ratio of funding to sheer amount of like lessons learned. It's more towards like I mean like $100 is not going to equate into 50 more pages you have to read
yeah.
as a student.
I mean,
Yeah, I guess the idea is that like the funding will go into things like libraries to like allow kids to have a source of resources, go into computers in the school, in a computer room, better
Better
lunch,
teachers,
better teachers in general who are more passionate what they learn about because they
maybe
don't have to worry
even
about other things from like such as like money problems or other things like that. Just things that go into the school directly that fuel this better environment that schools that children feel they can learn better in, not necessarily literally more work for them to do. Does that make sense?
yeah. I mean, I think, I guess what I'm trying to say is the one thing you can't just assume that our lives will like magically be better as soon as there's more funding. Like, I
I
don't
feel like that's a general accepted thing. But like it wouldn't be worse by any account.
I mean, you'd meet different people, right? You wouldn't, like, I don't think you'd be the same person as you were today if the school is
Yeah, definitely wouldn't be the
funded.
same person.
But I don't know if you can assume that you'd be a better person if you know, like what if you met different people and those people were like really
Mm.
like rich bad people? You know, I don't know.
I guess the thing about it is that there's no guarantee you'll be a better person, but you'll be presented with better opportunities and people to talk to, and that itself might, I guess, have a probably higher chance for you to, I guess, be a better person, whatever you may consider that to be. Like, for example, I always believe that who we are, two big factors of who we are come from one, the environment, and two, the people around you. And one, if your environmental improvement is what we've been talking about this whole time, about improving your environment and your ability to learn, to research on your own, like what Nathan was talking about, that for you to want to learn on your own about different things, that's your environment. So your environment improves, and the people around you also want to take advantage of that environment or flow into that environment of learning, and they are themselves maybe more interested in different things that you maybe maybe you might get interested in, or they become, they want to learn about different things that maybe you didn't think about learning, and it's these type of like influences on people that may change what type of people they are, and which in turn also affects who you are as a person when you become friends with them. So these two big factors are already going to be different with better schooling and better environments for children to learn in. So I think that's what like Alex and our points really stem from. Not exactly, oh, because we can get more money, people are going to become more rich and better, worse people and snobby people. I don't think that's what we were going for. Unless Alex, unless that was what you're going for, which I highly
Oh
doubt.
yeah, that's definitely what I was going for.
Yeah, dude. Inject the money into students so they become rich snobby. Yes, yeah.
I guess one last topic that we can end on would be like kind of a similar note, but a little bit different. Is like student loans, man. Those are they're like designed intentionally for you to suffer for the rest of your life.
Yeah, I mean, if college, I mean, like let's be real, college is where you really learn how
That
to
really
like
college
do
is
things.
where you, for one, you gain the environment like of people that you get to know and probably befriend for the rest of your life, really. And two is the real point where you get to pursue what you want to pursue.
Mm.
Alex, continue. Sorry, I cut you off there.
I mean, yeah. Well, I agree with what you said, but also the fact that like college is where you really start to learn like what you're going to be doing at your potential job. But at the same time, it's becoming more obsolete and way more expensive than it used to be. I feel that's very telling
Hmm.
of our current like. It's just it's milking you for your money basically.
Yeah, the fact that student loans just increasingly degrade you. Like I know people, I know
Yeah.
like family friends who are still paying it off to this day, and like in like their 40s.
Yeah, I mean, like the fact that like we have entire generations who are still in debt. I think our current student debt is like 1. I think 6 trillion.
That's
Like
very
that's a
huge. It's
huge number,
humongous.
Yeah. Humongous.
and that number is literally just how much the average person
Owes.
sacrificed to get an education, basically.
Yeah.
Like I agree with the fact that there is some tuition, right? Because professors need money in order to teach the subjects they love. Schools need money to provide resources, right? But that it shouldn't be designed to keep people in debt. You know what I mean? Like at this point, the whole student loan system is essentially designed to like keep you in debt unless you're able to pay it off very, very quickly, which often you're not because you need time to pursue what you learned. And I think for the whole idea of what an education, like secondary education or college education should be, that's like the complete opposite of what it should be. No one should be pushed away from going to college because of the pricing. That should be just something you to consider after you go to college, at least. Or public funding. Public funding colleges should be more. Again, same issue. More funding for education, whether that be personal education, public education, secondary, post-secondary, whatever the case. And I think on that note, it's a pretty good place to wrap up today.
All right, then. Thank you for listening to the Forecast podcast with your hosts, Alex, Kevin, Nathan, and William. We hope you enjoyed our take on the educational system with all its flaws. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast and leave a rating if that's possible on whatever program or platform we decide to post this on. And that's all for this episode. Tune in next time.
Thank you very much.
Goodbye.
Let's go.
What a fire outro, Alex.
All right, that's it. Thank you. Thank you.